All right, Gov. And so you just wanted to respond to the Rota business community concerns, particularly about shipping. There's several issues: the cost of goods, and then now everyone's relying on small commercial boats and two airlines to bring in their products. So yeah, what's your response to those concerns?
Well, it's not so much a response to that, but to share their perspective. I certainly agree with that. There's a huge challenge with transportation of goods to Rota, and that challenge has been there for a long time. Fortunately, with the things have kind of exacerbated in the past, 4 to 6 years, with the new agreement of the stevedores and all that. So the cost of shipping goods to Rota has escalated. That is something that no one will deny, and a lot of the shipping companies that at least one, I talked to one yesterday, and this guy has this business has a capacity to bring in containerized goods into Rota, and but he said that he indicated that it's just too much. The stevedore costs and the other associated costs with the dock site is very high, to the point that he's reluctant to ship goods on his own because of those charges. The handling charges is quite high. So I listened briefly to what's the interview with some of our members of our Rota Chamber of Commerce, and I totally agree that something has to be done. And I totally agree with everybody except Juan Ponce. My friend Juan Ponce, they thought that we were sleeping on the wheel. We haven't. Let me just put things in perspective and in proper context. This administration have never really had the opportunity to get in there, because we just now constituted a new leadership under this administration at CPA. So we're looking at that. One of the issues with the equipments at the ports in Rota is the crane. That was an issue but ironically and coincidentally, we have a path forward for that. We've got some funding resources to address that crane issue for Rota and even Saipan. I also understand Miss Calvo is talking about in terms of the small boats and the small merchants that ship their goods directly from Guam, and those usually come in break bulk, and 9,000 is a lot of manual labor and a lot of work. But I think in discussing that with the new CPA chair, I think those are obstacles that we could address immediately. One of them is to buy, equipments to make it a lot easier to offload goods, whether through a large conveyor belt or through a small boom truck kind of thing, to just lift those things out and make it easier for our merchants. Having talked about all this, obviously the stakeholders are the Rota stevedore, or RT&T, the Rota ports people, and even the merchants. And I want to thank you for that interview clips, because it does show the real need, and so those are things that really thought about. It's just that instituting or implementing it is something because of the autonomous nature of the Ports Authority. But I totally agree with them, and we need to address it, and we want to address it in short order. I've actually just yesterday, after watching that the other night, talked to one of my staff to task him with looking at the things and even setting up a listening session with all the stakeholders, in Rota for us to just go down and talk about how we can move forward, because this has to be a community-based solution. Cannot be just the ports or the governor's office or the legislative fix. It's going to be all the leadership and the business communities from Rota coming together and sharing their thoughts and perspective on how we can improve things for Rota. Because I agree. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to go down to Rota, and it was a robust community. But because of air service and the lack and the high cost of shipping, things have changed. But in terms of what the mayor was talking about, we're already moving along that in some of our discussions in Washington D.C. Again, coincidentally, those are things that we're trying to address, and we're going to immediately take a look at and inventory the infrastructure needs for the ports, whether it's the ports of Rota, the ports of Tinian, the ports of Saipan. And if there's such a document, okay, that's very specific, and cut it up to long-term, short-term, long-term solutions and projects, then that should be done. And I'm not sure if there's any efforts that have been done in the past to get those basically an inventory of things, that infrastructure that needs, and how we can get there. And so we're going to do this in short order.
And one of the other concerns are the permitting and licensing, just timelines. Stephen McCoy shared it took him 3 years to get his permit. That's
unfortunate, and it's also a situation even on Saipan. But a small community like Rota, to have a small company, we need to have a lot more responsive agencies to take a look at that, and I don't see why it all has to come to Saipan before those permits are issued. One of the added factors in Saipan is the zoning. Right? Rota doesn't have a zoning law, so it shouldn't be a real issue. It should be issued down there on Rota. And so that's something that I've talked to and be discussing with finance and commerce.
And I think it's Representative TJ Manglona who introduced the one-stop shop permitting licensing bill. And I think it's still pending, but would you support something like that?
I've always supported something like that, Thomas. We've had so many of those kind of legislation. It's just really the implementation part. It's people who have to be responsible. People have to buy in that, hey, this person is opening up a business, went through the requirements, and came and filed his documents. There should be if his documents are complete, there shouldn't be any reason why there's going to be that much delay. But I totally agree with Mr. McCoy. That has to be straightened out, and I think that between our office and the Department of Finance, Revenue and Tax, whoever is issuing it down on Rota, and the mayor's office, we have to all sit down and address these issues. And I was also thinking, coincidentally again, that I'm going down to Rota for a library there's an event for the library, and so I tried to get a flight out on tomorrow, well, Friday, but the flight is full, so I'm gonna go probably a day early. That will give me a lot more time to sit down with Mr. Guerrero, Mr. McCoy, the mayor, Ms. Calvo, and other stakeholders, and probably have a short listening session with folks. I really have a honest conversation of how we can move forward. You know, because Rota being a small community, a small business community, the businesses are very critical on a daily basis for people's lives. So we're going to get on top of it, and certainly that was a very candid conversation that you had with Mr. Guerrero and all the others.
And so you and the mayor have both responded talking about, the larger issue and addressing it. It might take months, years down the line. Some of these businesses are sounding like they just need a lifeline, the immediate day-to-day. What do you have to say to those businesses who are not seeing it translate yet into their day-to-day?
And that's why I said that we will have a immediate assessment of the immediate needs that we can make happen in short order, okay, and then the bigger ones in the long term is to fix the infrastructure and the system. We also have talked to MARAD, which is the Maritime Administration, regarding Maritime Highway, and we've been authorized, designated. We just got to put together all the proposals and the projects that we needed funding for that, and we can move ahead. There's a lot of revelation in some of our meetings, and a lot of it are centric to Tinian and Rota, needs. So I'm in a way, I'm very happy that we had those discussions with MARAD and FAA. With the Tinian Airport, I know that the Ports Authorities have laid out a project proposal for repair of the terminal, pending a long-term solution for a newer terminal. We're going to be fixing a lot of the little things that needs to be fixed there. Talk to some of the airline that's servicing Rota, passenger, and even the cargo, to see what we need to do to make things easier for them also. So we will. I thought that was a very good, straight to the point interviews, and I want to thank you for that too. At first, like, what? But no, I mean, those people are the ones that are the lifeline of the economy, and they bring in goods that are absolutely necessary for the daily use of the people. So we will make things easier.